Hi, my name is Ken Fickler. I'm the founder and CEO of Gaize, and today I want to talk about a question we get all the time, which is what impairment measurement standards does Gaize utilize? Now, this question always stems from the reality that there is no equivalent to the 0.08% blood alcohol content limit for THC or any other drug. So how do we know if someone who fails a certain test in the Gaize headset is actually impaired? The answer is that Gaize uses the only recognized standards for impairment that exist, which are the Drug Recognition Expert Examination. In particular, we automatically run the Drug Recognition Expert eye tests. And these tests were developed by the US federal government, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and the Los Angeles Police Department back in the 1980s. And this was done with the explicit purpose of allowing law enforcement to discover non-alcohol impaired drivers. If you're curious about the history of the Drug Recognition Expert program and the tests, you can learn a lot more about that on our website. We've got a whole blog post about that. But since their creation, these tests have been shown to be reliable methods of detecting impairment by many scientific studies, and they've been used to prosecute impaired driving cases all across the United States, Canada, and several other countries. These tests are designed to elicit certain signs and symptoms of impairment that are caused by each class of drug. Now, which clues present themselves in the course of the testing process will lead a drug recognition expert, or in our case, Gaize, to be able to determine whether or not impairment is being experienced and from what class of substance that could be from. From an impairment perspective, the result is binary. That is, an officer is able to conduct these tests and find out if someone is impaired or not impaired. Gaize operates on the same principle. For example, if a law enforcement officer observed a test subject with lack of convergence and pupillary rebound dilation, they would infer that that test subject was experiencing impairment from a cannabinoid. Gaize, of course, conducts those same tests, and so we're able to rely on that same standard for impairment. Drug recognition expert examinations are a vital tool for prosecuting impaired driving cases in the United States and several other countries. The results of DRE examinations, as well as DRE officers serving as experts, are often called into court to help with prosecution of impaired driving cases. They're considered to be the gold standard for impairment detection, and they've been shown to be accurate by many scientific studies. These examinations are a vital tool for prosecuting impaired driving cases because they provide actual evidence that a driver was impaired based on the observations of a trained expert, rather than just a chemical drug test, which of course cannot distinguish whether or not someone was currently impaired or just previously used a drug. This is particularly important in places where certain drugs have been legalized. Since a driver can legally have those drugs in their body, and since there's no scientifically valid per se limit for those drugs, DRE examinations are really the only tool that's available to discover and classify that impairment. Gaize has changed the game with an automated and easy-to-use test that captures very high-quality evidence of impairment. This broad court acceptance of DRE examinations and DRE officers has made these tests the de facto standard for impairment detection, and Gaize in turn utilizes these same tests to perform an entirely automated test for whether or not impairment is currently being experienced. I hope that answers the question, and thank you so much for your time today.